Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Soulfax. Today we're going to be talking about the Enduring Confrontation mode that's going to be replacing the normal standard air simulator battles in the near future, most likely in the update 1.5.3, so awesomely called Firestorm. I will hopefully have two different replays to show you. One from the last Endurance Confrontation test in which the developers finally used the historical matchmaking system, and the one from before that in which they still use the old battle rating matchmaking system. But before I do this, I really need to apologize, because apparently I can't do anything well this week. I mean, this week has just been one piece of shit. One big bag of ball sacks. I mean, yeah. The last video that I uploaded was of the captured German P-47D, more famously known as the Hitler Bolt, and in that video, I've flown that aircraft in simulator battles, and a lot of people told me that that's a bad thing, and up until yesterday, I didn't agree with them. I thought I was justified in flying an airplane that I bought with my own money in any way and shape and form that I seem fit. But a lot of people pointed out to me that by doing that, I don't only break the immersion for all the other players, I don't only break the historical factor that the game claims to have, I mess up with the whole core gameplay of simulator battles and the fact that your friendlies only have name tags when you're very close, under 1 kilometer, and your enemies don't have name tags at all, and that the way we actually identify friends from foe is by seeing what kind of silhouette they have from a few kilometers away, or what kind of traces their guns are firing. And when you fly a P-47D in a USA versus Germany match, your friendly planes will have a very hard time distinguishing between you and another P-47D if you're in a dogfight or chasing one another. So really, I understand where you're coming from, and I'm very sorry. I gotta say, I'm really very sorry. I will not be flying the P-47D Hitler Bolt in the simulator battle queue. Again, I will be flying it mostly and exclusively in realistic battles. So yeah, let's get actually to the rest of this video now that I've made my apology correct. So like I said earlier, there were two different versions of Enduring Confrontation mode, despite there being actually 7 different Enduring Confrontation tests. The first 1, 2, 6, didn't change all that much. They added additional objectives, they added different spawning mechanics and different prices to all the vehicles, but the last one changed the most. So the 6th Enduring Confrontation that still used the battle rating matchmaking system, which means that there was 4 different tiers of matches you could actually get into, all ranging from 1.0 to 2.0, 2.3 to 4.0, 4.3 to 5.6 or 5.7, and then 6.0 to all the way up to 7.7 or 8.0. The last Enduring Confrontation test actually changed all of that for a static lineup of planes ranging from the year 1942 to 1942, I think, or maybe 1941. But basically that actually turned out very well, because in this matchup you would never have all those heavily unbalanced matchups like a BF-109E3 against an LA-5N, which was possible in the last Endurance Confrontation test, the 6th one. In this matchup, the worst matchup, plane versus plane, that you could get was a MC2, oh no, there was no MC2, excuse me, a BF-109E3 against a Yak-1 or LA-5, and even though those two planes are not very equal, and the LAs and the Yaks will in most cases at lower and medium altitudes will be able to beat a decent BF-109E3 pilot, still the E3 pilot has more chance to kill them because there are no other better planes than those in the match. So that being said, I think it's realistic that we're going to be getting the last version of Enduring Confrontation replace the normal air simulator battle queue in the next update. But how it's gonna look, how it's gonna work, nobody actually knows. Is it gonna be one big match with 60 players on each side, which I highly doubt, but it's still possible, or more smaller matches with up to 16 players on each side? We still don't know, but we're going to see very soon enough, because the last version of the developer server has been opened with the British tanks and all the new vehicles, except I believe the E4 and the last Lightning, the P-38J. So soon, in a week or so, we'll probably be going to getting the 1.5.3 update live. But that's not what I want to talk about in this video, because we don't have enough information to actually talk about that. What I do want to talk about is how Enduring Confrontation works, how it's structured, and that it might just not be the saving grace of this game in the end if it remains the way it is currently. So what usually happens at the start of every Enduring Confrontation match is that the players spawn in their lowest battle rating planes, since they can't spawn into their best planes, that being one of the features of the Enduring Conversation test. Enduring Confrontation. Immediately after taking off, people start to look for actions, and the best place to find it would logically be in the direction of the enemy airfield, since the enemy is thinking, well, the same thing. So most people and fighters either make their way there or just spam chat asking where the action is until somebody points them to the closest furball. And in my opinion, in there lies, in that sentence, biggest missed opportunity of Enduring Confrontation. For a game that claims that it puts great emphasis on historical accuracy and strives to be the quotation marks the World War II simulation, whatever that means, its most advanced game mode is just arcade battles done on a larger scale with a depth of a murky pot. There are no real objectives and no reasons for fighters to do anything other than just swarm straight to the enemy airfield, meeting roughly halfway and gradually getting closer to one airfield or another in one big, never-ending arcade-style furball. That is also the best way to get points, just shoot down more airplanes than the enemy, rather than doing something sensical that would at least feel like a real combat mission instead of a never-ending cycle of takeoff, fly towards whichever airfield is the host of this match's furball, engage the enemy whilst avoiding the enemy or friendly flak, get shot down, rinse and repeat till brains turn to mush and you head on and mess with me 262. But by now you might be saying, but dude, what about the bombers and the attackers? What about bombing bases and destroying magically, randomly positioned convoys that start at the very, very back of the enemy territory and ever so slowly make their way toward the center of the map? To which I have to say, sure, you can take out your Enshels, Poings, your Yermols, your Illusions and such, take off from the most back airfield because every other airfield is under attack, 100 clicks away from your targets, climb and fly for half an hour just to get to that exciting moment when you get to press space and make a red circle on the map go away. Or if all this excitement is too much for your poor heart, you might want to jump in an attacker such as the Sturmiko and traverse the never-ending wave of enemy aircrafts just for a chance to drop your load and get those sweet under 1k rewards. I mean, I make it sound like I absolutely hate Enduring Confrontation mode in its current form, but I don't. It's just, I think that the mission designers were just very lazy when they decided to make an otherwise very promising game mode so simple and repetitive, and after a while, everybody's gotta admit this, just freaking boring. There's absolutely nothing a player can gain in Enduring Confrontation if he decides not to make a beeline from the enemy airfield and join one of these nonsensical, utterly boring furballs. Even if we ignore the fact that taking down bombers is so much harder than it should be with the whole bomber problem and the gunners overperforming and the bombers just not acting straight without having cockpits and all that stuff, there's not enough bombers just that you're just gonna stumble across them just flying around, since most of them have the good sense to go around hot zones and just stay in cloud cover, and bomber hunting in this mode is just pointless. Even worse is that some small random patch added AI fighters that spawn just behind the players that spend too much time climbing and don't engage their opponents in some undisclosed time frame after taking off. What better way to discourage fighter pilots from thinking creatively, defending their bases and convoys and escorting bombers than a server-wide message that screams a player on your team is being hunted? These AI fighters appear in midair, just behind the hunted players, matching their speed and altitude, but no, that's not enough. The game devs gave these planes that can range from Yaks to LA-9s, from P-40s to P-51s and such, rocket engines. I mean, not literally rocket engines, but these planes can actually, there's been multiple reports of this plane actually overtaking a hunted plane and climbing while doing so, which is not possible in this game. Granted, they do fly away after a few failed attempts at killing the free-taking radical who dared to climb over 2 kilometers, but that still does not mean they should be here harassing players that refuse to succumb to the archaic battle standard that the normal not just a weird sentence. Okay, moving on. As a final attempt to spice up the normal furballs, the devs added both AI fighters and bombers that spawn at random times at certain points on the maps and make their way towards the enemy airfields. Imagine, you just finally managed to secure your airfield and dispose of the enemy aircrafts there. You land and rearm, take off only to see a dozen utterly brain-dead AI pilots circling your runway, focused on one unfortunate sucker that stayed there too long. Not only is this immersion breaking and an annoying distraction from the real player-controlled pilots, the AI is so easy to take down since they focus on one target and ignore everything around them, and the reward for killing them are less than half of what you get for a normal player kill. All of this just makes me kind of sad, and I get depressed when I think about what we could have had if the devs just put a bit more effort in this game mode. Real mission objectives that evolve after completing and some other objective that moves you one step closer to the completion of your mission and winning the match in a meaningful way, not with some stupid number counter that's just there to track how many kills each team's got and when the match is going to end. There needs to be some initiative for players to stick together and cooperate, protect attackers while they strafe ground targets, and escorting bombers on the way for the targets, and other than just for the sake of it. What kind of initiative is there other than winning a match, completing the mission, and feeling like you're really one of the pilots that took part in this and that mission and accomplished this and that historical thing? I mean, maybe Silver Lions and Research Point, but we all know that's never going to happen. The grind is too strong and it must remain strong. I'm not saying that in its current form, Enduring Confrontation is a boring game mode. It's actually quite fun if you can stomach some of the things that I mentioned, but if we tell Gaijin that the community is very pleased with this half-finished, no-effort product and will replace the standard sim battles, we're basically telling them that we are okay with taking the historical and simulation out of the World War II historical simulation air and ground combat. The way I see it, Enduring Confrontation is an attempt to attract more people to simulator battle, which is a good thing, but not at the cost if you make simulator battles more casual and devoid of any tactical thinking and decision making, basically turning it into a arcade mode plus simulator battle flight modules and control scheme. People in the community, YouTubers, have voiced the community's displeasure with the battle rate matchmaking system that previous Enduring Confrontation has had. And for once, Gaijin actually delivered, giving us a proper historical matchmaking that was universally accepted to be better than the previous lineups. Now, I know this is not going to ruin simulator battles, it's probably going to bring more people in, and that more people is always better, but my hope is that if we just hold the developers to higher standards than this half-assed effort of a game mode, that this game could despite all its glaring flaws and ridiculous imbalances in game mechanics abuse, may just come closer to that game all of us sim and other pilots dream of playing. A very good, true World War II air and tank simulator gameplay. That's all for me, folks. My name has been Soulfax, and I will see you next time.